Summer, are you ready to do some foils?
Let's do it.
Fantastic. So remember, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to examine the head form and we're going to do our sectioning pattern. Remember, the first step in that was we wanted to take our tail comb and place that on the top of the head to find out where that balance point is. And where that balance point is, that is the highest point of the head. So from there, what we want to do is we want to take that section and create our very first section that goes straight down. And a good tip and trick when it comes to sectioning that is place your finger at where you want your comb to stop. So what I mean by that is, I know it's going to end up roughly at the top of the ear. So if you place your finger where you want it to end, when you take the top of your comb and you put that in from the highest point down straight to your finger, you'll find automatically it's going to give you a very, very clean section to work with. And the best thing is, when it comes to the world of foils, the cleaner the section, the better the result. So that's our first section that we're going to do. Just clip the rest of that hair out of the way. Take that front section that we've done. Always give your sections a comb to make sure that they are not knotty at all, because what that's going to do for us is make life very, very easy for us when we're working with the hair, and especially when it comes to putting foils in. We're now going to repeat that section on the other side. So again, from the highest point of the head, place your finger roughly where you feel it's going to end. Use the top of your tail comb, take it straight down, touch your finger, and it'll give you a perfectly clean line in terms of finding those sections. Give it a comb again to make sure that there's no knots in that section that you're working with. And then what we wanted to do is complete that hot cross bun. And the hot cross bun was where we're going to separate left and right, and that is taken straight down the middle from our point of reference, which is the point of the nose, straight down through the back. And what you'll find that's going to do is it's going to separate that into 4 quadrants. You should now have 4 sections on your model's head. The next step in the process in terms of isolating our sectioning pattern, remember where that point is right up on the top, that's going to be the highest point on the head. A good tip and trick to remember here is, clients are often on their mobile phones these days. So if your client is tilting their head forward and reading a mobile phone, your highest point on your head will not be where it needs to be. So when your client gets out and she starts walking in the street normally, not looking on her phone, all of the color work you've done sits at the back. So it's really, really important for us to make sure that our model and our clients in the chair are sitting looking exactly the same way that they would while they're walking outside, so that the color falls exactly where we want it to be. Okay. From that highest point of the head, which we have over here, what we want to now do is isolate those 4 triangles that we have, because those are the ones that are going to cover the majority of the head. So all I want you to do is, in your first quadrant, take your first triangle out. A trick on this section is, don't go any wider than what you want your foils to be. Okay, that makes sense? Yeah. All right. You could take it down there if you wanted to and make your area a little bit bigger. Always remember, you want to make sure your foil is wider than your section so that you don't end up with drag on the corners. So I'm just going to make that one just a little bit smaller.
So my highest point of the head is much closer to the hairline than yours is. Would I take a smaller section, or would my sections stay the same?
The great thing is, with that, what we've identified between the 2 different models that we're working with is everyone has a slightly different head shape. What you want to do is, the key thing is, you want to make sure that it's on the top of the head and leave approximately about 1 inch from the hairline, because that's going to fall into our fringe area. So some clients, that square may be a little bigger. The bigger you make this square, the more hair you're going to have that's going to fall around.
Okay.
So now we're going to go through and just complete that square on the top. Working through every section to make sure that we've got those 4 little triangles that connect exactly where we need to be on that top piece. Again, using your finger placed where you want your tail comb to be, gives you the ability to get a really clean section through that and makes it super, super easy for us to work with what we need to work with. Keeping your sections that you're working all combed, nice and detangled, will give us that ability to have something really, really soft and easy to work with. We're into the last panel to create that triangle on top. Isolate that section out, and what you should have on the top of the head is a really nice square.
Does the crown affect your placement?
You'll find that because we've worked with the highest point on the head, you're going to work across the crown anyway. If you need to at this stage go in and neaten your section up to make it a little more square, perfect opportunity to do so, and then just fold it up and get it out of the way so that it doesn't interfere in the other sections that we're working with. What you'll notice from here now is, if just tilt our head back a little bit, we've got our square on the top, and because that is over the highest point of the head, when that hair falls down, it's going to cover about 80% of what our client sees in the mirror. These two areas at the back, you do not need to color. That point that you were talking about a little earlier on of disconnection, if you choose to, you can put 1 or 2 foils in here a little further down. There is no need to work your way right the way through unless you're doing a full head. If your client wears their hair up, you can do 1 or 2 little foils through on the bottom area here. And remember, because of the sectioning pattern, everything is going to be on a diagonal. So the great thing with this is what you'll find, there is our guideline from the square on the top, straight down into my guideline going here. So everything you do on this head of hair with regards to placing foils in will be on a diagonal. So it's just going to create beautiful soft movement in terms of color without any start or stop points or any harsh lines.
Okay, so we're always working at a diagonal.
For this sectioning pattern, we're going to work in with a diagonal. Because we're working with slightly finer hair texture here, I'm going to do more of a weave.
Yeah.
What I'd love for you to do is work in slices.
Cool.
And that'll give us an incredible opportunity to see exactly the same sectioning pattern, just with a different stitch that's gone in, one a normal stitch and one a slice, and the difference in terms of boldness of color that delivers.
Okay, awesome.
From here through, what we're going to do is we are now going to just finish off our section, and the last 2 sections that we need to do here is isolate our fringe area. Okay. This is the top piece here that we're talking about, or these 2 pieces that we see here. So all we want to do here is from the middle of the front triangle to the corner of the eye, we want to isolate that and repeat that on the opposite side and take that into our fringe area. So I'll show you here. All we're going to do is from the middle of that section to the corner of the eye, place your finger where you want your comb to go. From the middle down to the corner, there is your clean section coming through. That section there will be part of your fringe area. Again, keeping your sections neat, tidy, and out of the way. And we'll repeat this on the other side. Again, exactly the same process. From the middle of the section to the corner of the eye, place your finger where you want your comb to be, and we're just going to go through and connect. Isolating our side pieces. From here, all I'm going to do is take my fringe and just get it out of the way. Sometimes a really nice way to get your fringe out of the way is to just go in and do a very loose plait. To just take that fringe out of the equation.
So we're connecting the fringe.
We're going to put those 2 fringe pieces together because that's the piece that we're going to work with in terms of the last. Because remember, that hair is a little finer and we want to keep that to last because we don't want to over-lighten or overstress the hair. And the great thing with that is it'll also create the illusion of multitonal blondes in our final look as well. And if we go back and we see what the reference pictures were like, it was all about creating that dimensional blonde in our look. So if we have a look at what we've created now from a sectioning pattern, you'll notice completely that we have a fringe section to work with. We've got 2 sections on the side that are really nice and small with a perfect guideline in terms of where we need to place our foils on the diagonal going up. And can you see the size of the area that you're working with?
Yeah.
They're very small sections. You don't need to put more than 8 foils in that area. That will be repeated exactly on the other side. And then we've got our area on the top that we're going to work with. Okay. All right. Now, you had a little question for me a little earlier on. Where do you start in terms of your foil placements?
Where do you start?
Great question. Depending on how much color we're going to put in, where the hair is darker, that's generally where we'd start first. If we were going to be going in and doing a full head, which means we'd be working in these 2 sections at the back, we'd start working at the back first. From a timing perspective, sometimes you may find we work with a lower activator at the back, and as we work our way to the front, we use a higher activator. It gives the front an opportunity to catch up with the back. Yeah. Sometimes what we do is if we use the same activator the whole way through, we might have to do stage rinsing, which means you're going to rinse that back panel first, clip that out of the way, and then let the front process. 2 different ways of approaching it. Neither is right, neither is wrong. It's just a personal preference for us. So let's mix up our color and start getting some foils in.